What you got?
Okay, so we talked.
We did talk.
We did talk.
You said, what can I bring you?
What do you need for the store?
And
what did you say?
I said, people always ask me for
Except for
Mario
right?
games. Oh my
Are you
gosh.
interested in trading?
Sure.
So we ended up going through all the games that I brought him, and I let him take them overnight so he could get a good value to see what he could give for them.
1 day later.
So, as far as I can tell, I can get about $360 out of it.
Okay.
So, if I just split it right in half, it's $180. So, where are you at?
200?
$200. That'll work, man.
So now it was time for me to shop. Now, we had already previously talked about some PlayStation 4 games, and I had already eyed 2 games that I wanted to grab. So I immediately went over there and we talked a little bit here, and I was like, hey, there was 2 games here that we pointed out previously, and you pointed them out, and I had already saw them, and I'm definitely interested in those. So let's go ahead and add those to my pile, which was like a great way to start. These are 2 games that very much interest me, and we'll talk about everything at the end of this, but I dug through a little bit more here in the PS4 section, looking and hoping that I could actually find something else that I needed, but unfortunately that ended up being the only 2 PS4 games that I did end up grabbing. However, I looked through the DS and 3DS games right here, and that's when I found a game that I think my wife will definitely like, which is why I ended up grabbing this. She did not have this in her collection, so I ended up grabbing that for her, which was totally awesome. Then I started looking around. I showed it to her right here. You could see I was definitely thinking it was cool and she would enjoy it. And shout out to JRPG Life back in the background talking to Arkansas Picker while I was there. We chatted while I was at the convention, and it was definitely awesome to see them as well. Then I made my way to the Wii U section, where I actually thought about picking this Wii U game up, Nintendo Land, here for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And ultimately, I did end up grabbing it later on, but I kept looking here for the Wii games, then into the GameCube games, and that is then when I ended up grabbing a GameCube game here that was Burnout 2. Absolutely love the Burnout series, and I don't think I have this one in my collection. And then I ended up spotting this Super Mario Sunshine. It was just the disc only, and Brandon was ever so gracious to display the disc with his hand modeling skills. Then I made my way to the Xbox 360 section, where I ended up finding Minecraft, and I ended up also grabbing Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. These are both amazing games. If you don't have these in your collection, you definitely should. Then I kind of made my way back to the GameCube section here and was talking to Brandon a little bit more, and I was like, hey, we can add these 2 to the pile, and that's when I ended up finding Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock for the Wii. I was kind of debating whether or not I should get it for the 360 or for the Wii, and he was like, why not both? And I was like, perfect. And then I made my way back to the PS4 section while I was working my way back to the front and saw this Yakuza game that I don't actually have, so I went ahead and grabbed that. These were those disc-based games that I grabbed kind of on this side, and then here you see me grab Nintendo Land for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And then I said, okay, what are we at here? So we kind of started totaling things up. Brandon pulled out his phone, and we were both kind of talking here for a little bit, trying to figure out kind of where I was at, because math was not mathing at this point. But I wasn't that far off, which is totally perfect. So then I made my way to this section, which Brandon usually has cheap games here that are kind of games that people don't care about, but can still be a ton of fun. So I kind of was digging through that here. And that's when I ended up finding this Midnight Club game for the Game Boy Advance. And so I think I was like $5 short at this point. So I ended up handing this to him and said, okay, I think that's it. And we were like $2 apart. So it was perfect. And this was a great way to end it.
Heck yeah, dude. You gotta
serve you well.
Yeah. That'll work, man. I just appreciate your business.
Before we talk about all the games I ended up getting, I wanted to say shout out to the Arkansas Picker. First off, he recently opened up a game store in Benton, Arkansas, and I haven't been in there yet, but I will be very soon. He doesn't know, but I'm planning on it. But I wanted to support him and show him some love there, so I went ahead and messaged him like 2 weeks before the con and said, hey, what do you need for your game store? I know you just opened it up. And he told me Mario games, and I said, sounds good. Didn't tell him anything else. And then I showed up with a bunch of Mario games. I'm not going to tell you what I ended up trading him, but if you want to see it, go ahead and head over to his channel. He's got a video from RetroFest where he shows everything that we ended up trading for. But this is what I got, and I am super stoked upon all this stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about everything I got here. First off, you saw me grab this Midnight Club for the Game Boy Advance. He had $5 on this, so this was kind of like the throw-in at the very end to kind of go over the top to make us kind of close enough to call it good. And then I ended up getting Mario Sunshine, which is absolutely awesome. This is, as you can see, a loose disc, but that is perfect because back there I've got the case and manual, so I can actually complete it now. I am very glad to do that. I think I've got 1 or 2 copies over there already, but to have a third backup copy, I guess is a great thing to have. And then I ended up grabbing Harvest Moon 3D New Beginnings for my wife. She was stoked when I saw this. You saw me kind of pull it out and kind of look at her a little bit, and I knew she would like this. For 10 bucks, definitely worth grabbing. And then we've got some PS4 games here, starting off with some ridiculous ones. First off, I got Wild Guns Reloaded. I have this for the Switch, but this is an absolutely amazing Super Nintendo game. Obviously, they remastered it, but if you can't afford the Super Nintendo game, grab the PS4 game, and the Switch version is not as good, I believe, so that is what it is. But then I ended up finding Supermarket Shriek, which looks absolutely ridiculous, and you know I love ridiculous games, so for $8 when I saw this, I was like, okay, that's going on my list of games to grab. And then he pulled it out while we were talking beforehand, which was even better, so that was again another one I had to grab. And then recently I played Yakuza 0 for the Switch 2, and I saw this Yakuza Kiwami. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. This is like a steelbook, which is totally awesome. If you open it up, this thing just looks insane. It is missing the manual, but that's perfectly okay. This one may not have even came with a manual, to be honest. Anything past like the PS4 and beyond, if it doesn't have a manual, I just assume that it doesn't come with one. And then we've got some Xbox 360 games here. I ended up getting Minecraft because this is an amazing game, and this goes well with consoles if you like to trade them or sell them. So I have a stack of Xbox 360s that I'm going to try to like trade for something in the future, and I think this will go great with that because I already have this in my collection. And then I ended up grabbing Warriors of Rock, the Guitar Hero game. This one is, like you could see, $27. This game is awesome, but it's actually going up in value, so anytime I can find something like this, I like to pick it up because these games are absolutely awesome. And then on the Wii U, I ended up getting probably one of the best. Nintendo Land is probably one of the best Wii U games that didn't get ported to the Switch. So if you have a Wii U and you've never played this, this was $8 complete. You'll enjoy it if you pick it up. Trust me, I absolutely love this game. Then again, here we are talking about Guitar Hero Warriors Rock, and I ended up grabbing the Wii version of it as well. Again, $27. This game is absolutely amazing. Has probably some of the better songs, other than maybe like the first few, but obviously I absolutely am a good fan of that. And last but not least, we've got Burnout 2 for the GameCube. Definitely awesome here. Great prices. All of this stuff is well worth it. Now, you're probably thinking I'm crazy for trading a bunch of Mario games aside or away for Arkansas Picker. but this was a perfectly great deal. I got games that I didn't have or games that could complete things, and he got games that he could sell at his game store that he just opened up. And all of those games were duplicates. You guys know, you see me going out hunting, and I don't really sell my games anymore. I did a few years back, but I haven't sold a game in a long time, and purely that's because I like to keep them, and then if I have extra duplicates, I just trade them away. And this was a great time to trade some of my duplicates for a good cause, and I ended up getting some awesome games here that I didn't already have in my collection. So if you think I'm a little crazy for doing this, you might be right, but I'm really happy to be able to support the Arkansas Picker. He's got that new game store. If you're in the area, you gotta go check it out. And also, shout out to Retro Rick for RetroFest. It was a totally awesome con. This is the second year he's done it, and I absolutely love going to it. So I'm definitely stoked for next year because I know he's going to do something to make it even better. But also shout out to all the people that I saw at RetroFest. It was so much fun, and this trade is just one of those awesome things that I did there. But enough about that. I got to get out of here, so check that video out if you haven't already. And honestly, I'm really happy with all of these games. I think these games are going to be a ton of fun. And oddly enough, I think this $8 game is what I'm most excited about, just because of how over-the-top ridiculous it is. But enough about that. I gotta get out of here, so check that video out if you haven't already.